Okay, in this lecture, we're going to talk about calculating the values of indexes, returns, and so forth. The price weighted is probably the most complicated type of index because what happens is if um, when a stock splits, you have to adjust the denominator to reflect that. So and in this example, we have an initial prices and quantities for stocks. This simple index has three stocks, A, B, and C. The prices are 10, 50, and 40 respectively. The quantities are 40, 80, and 50 respectively. And then if we notice the price of P1 is the prices at the end of the period and Q1 is the quantities at the end of the period. We can see that stock B split. So we're going to have to make an adjustment for that when we do our calculations. The initial calculation for at the beginning is for price weighted index is simply the price of stock 1, 10, plus the price of stock 2, 50, plus the price of stock 3 divided by 40. So you add those up and you get 200 divided by 3 or 66.7. But to adjust for this split at the end of the period, what we have to do is, as I mentioned, adjust the value of the denominator because the this stock price is now 25 and not 50. So all right. So what we do is we take the 10 plus the new price, the split price of 25 plus the 140, and then we solve for the denominators and set that equal to the original value. So if we solve for the denominator, we're going to end up with the denominator is equal to what is 175 divided by 66.67. That makes the denominator 2.624869. That becomes the new denominator. So the value of the index at the end of the period is the stock prices at the end of the period 15 plus 25 plus 150. This made it simple here that the stock price effectively didn't change for stock B. Be a little more involved if you didn't have that. So we add those up, divided by 2.624869, and we get an ending index value of 72.38. So we talked about this a little bit in the lectures. These calculations are on your first homework, but there are problems with price-weighted indexes. What happens is if you have a higher price stock that goes up by a similar amount, the higher price stock's change impacts the index much greater than does the lower price stock because it's price weighted. So the price has a price of a larger stock has a significantly greater impact. We see this in the Dow Jones Industrial Average when those. That's the reason the Dow is much more volatile than the S&P 500. In addition, there's 500 stocks on the S&P 500, but the fact that the S&P 500 is a valuated index. So, so we talked about this during the other lecture. Splits arbitrarily reduce the weights of stocks, and when the split takes place, it reduces the impact of that stock on the index. And it appears that many companies are reluctant to split because of their impact, reducing their impact on indexes at times. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the other two types of indexes using the same chart. We have value-weighted indexes. So value-weighted index, it takes the not only the price but the quantity of the stock into account. So the index of value is simply the you take the bottom line here is the beginning values. So you have the price times the quantity. So this is 10 times 40 plus 50 times 80 plus 140 times 50. So this is stock A, this is stock B, this is stock C. So the then at the end of the period you have 15, the price times 40. And then you have 25 times 160 and plus 150 divided by 50. Multiply that by 100 and you get an index value of 106.14. So if you were going to calculate the return on the index, you would calculate the beginning value minus the ending value divided by the ending value minus the beginning value divided by the beginning value. So it would be 106 minus 100 divided by 100, and you would get 6.14% return. So this gives evaluated index gives more influence on the two companies with greater value. An equal weighted index, on the other hand, simply what you're concerned about is the return of each stock. So what you're doing is you're going to assume that you invest the same amount in each stock. In this case, we're going to assume we invest $300 in each stock and then see what happens at the end of the period. So our equal weighted index is going to look like this. We start out with our beginning values down here. So we're going to equal $300. We're going to buy 30 shares of stock A. So 10 times 30 equals 300. And we're going to buy 6 shares of stock B. 50 times 6. Then we're going to buy 2.13 shares of stock C. So and then we'll calculate the values of those shares of stock at the end of the period, and we get an index value. So multiply it by 100, we get an index value of 119.05. So that the return would be the 119.05 minus 100 divided by 100, or 19.05%. So you can see how you calculate these returns is these values is important on how the effect on returns. Okay, one final thing about calculating the returns on an equal weighted index. On an equal weighted index, you can simply calculate the return on each stock, add them up, and divide them by the number of stocks. You would get the same result. So